A Shenzhen company is now shipping a warm-skinned female humanoid robot to American doorsteps for $3,800. Tens of thousands have already crossed the Pacific. What $3,800 actually buys you? Let's start with what's physically shipping. The Chinese humanoid market splits in two: official factory products and gray market mods. The cheapest walking humanoid in the world is the Noetix Bumi from Beijing. $1,370, 94 centimeters, 12 kilograms, 21 degrees of freedom. The Unitree R1 Air from Hangzhou starts at $4,900. The R1 at $5,900 has 26 degrees of freedom, binocular vision, and a 4-microphone array. The problem? None look female. None look human. Aluminum frames with bare actuators and faceless visages. Enter the gray market. Vendors in Shenzhen and Dalian buy these chassis and retrofit them with medical-grade silicone skin, 15 to 20 facial actuators, graphene heating grids at 98.6 Fahrenheit, and conversational LLMs on local NVIDIA Jetson modules. The closest official analog is the EVA.i from IO Technology in Dalian, a $7,999 female-presenting companion with 3-layer composite skin, emotional voice recognition, and 30 degrees of freedom. The $3,800 gray market unit is a stripped-down EVA.i, often wheeled, cheaper actuators, but identical from the torso up. That's what $3,800 buys you in November 2026. A warm, female-presenting, emotionally responsive companion. And it's shipping right now. The Pearl River Delta Advantage. A Chinese humanoid costs $3,800, and a Tesla Optimus targets $20,000 to $30,000, not because of software or quality, because of geography. Within 100 miles of Shenzhen, a manufacturer sources over 90% of every component for a complete humanoid. Coreless DC motors, tactile sensors, synthetic skin polymers, graphene heating grids, Jetson modules, all within driving distance of the line. Cost structure: actuators and motors, 30 to 40%. Sensors and perception, 15 to 25%. Composite skin and exoskeleton, 10 to 20%. AI compute, 10 to 15%. The rest is chassis, battery, and margin. Every line item is dramatically cheaper in the Pearl River Delta than anywhere else. Proof is shipment volume. Agibot in Shanghai rolled out its 10,000th mass-produced humanoid on March 30th, 2026, a 4 times acceleration over the previous quarter. By end of 2026, Chinese manufacturers are projected to capture 87% to 90% of global humanoid shipments. Figure AI, 1X, and Tesla build bespoke industrial laborers at $20,000 to $50,000. Chinese firms treat the humanoid like a smartphone: low margin, high volume. That asymmetry is why the $3,800 robot is real, and it's why no American competitor will hit that price point before 2028. The American demand crisis. You can't understand this story without understanding who's buying. In 2023, U.S. Surgeon General Vivek Murthy declared loneliness a national epidemic. Americans across every demographic told him the same thing. They shouldered life's burdens alone, and if they disappeared tomorrow, nobody would notice. The data has only gotten worse. Per a 2025 Gallup survey, 1 in 4 young American men 15 to 34 reports feeling lonely a lot of the day. 15% of American men have 0 close friends, a 5-fold increase from 1990. The share with 6 or more close friends collapsed from 55% in 1990 to 27%. And 74% rely almost exclusively on a partner for emotional regulation. Do the math. If 15% of men have no close friends, and 74% rely on a partner as their only emotional outlet, the single man with no partner has no safety net at all. Layer the dating economy on top. The Institute for Family Studies' 2026 State of Our Unions report surveyed 5,275 young adults and found a dating recession. 74% want a serious relationship. Only 36% are actively dating. 64% haven't been on a date in the past year. 58% cite financial cost. 49% cite lack of confidence. Adults having sex weekly dropped from 55% in 1990 to 37% in 2025. Dating apps made it worse. Tinder is 67% male. Male match-to-date conversion is 3 to 5.26% against 44.4% for a woman. Men pay for Tinder Gold and Hinge Premium, swipe hundreds a week, convert almost none. The industry generated $12.5 billion globally in 2026. Match Group alone pulled $3.47 billion in 2025. A $3,800 robot stops looking dystopian. It's 2 years of aggressive dating app spending, dinners, drinks, and Ubers, to an isolated 32-year-old in rural Texas with 0 close friends and a 5% match-to-date rate. It starts looking like the only rational option left. How Americans actually buy these. Importing a 60-pound bipedal robot from Shenzhen isn't an Amazon Prime situation. The US has spent 18 months making it as expensive as possible. The de minimis exemption, which let consumers import goods under $800 duty-free, was killed for Chinese imports by executive order in May 2025 and extended in February 2026. Every robot clears formal customs with full duty payment. Duties stack brutally. Baseline electronics, 3.5%. Section 301, 25%. Section 232 on copper-containing products, 25 to 50%. IEEPA reciprocal, 20 to 34%. Total burden, 48.5% up to 82.5%. A $3,800 factory robot lands closer to $6,000 or $7,000 before shipping and reseller margin. The gray market adapted. Dropshippers in Shenzhen and Dalian misclassify shipments as educational electronics, articulated mannequins, or electric motor assemblies. Buyers source through AliExpress, Taobao with forwarders, and direct Shopify storefronts. The most absurd moment came October 2025. A reseller listed the Unitree G1 humanoid on Walmart's marketplace for $21,600. The Chinese retail price is $13,500. The $8,000 markup was the cost of import risk. One viral post. Figure AI is valued at $39 billion, but you can't buy one. Unitree is valued near $5 billion, and you can buy one on Walmart. The science of bonding. This is where most skeptics push back. A robot is plastic and silicone. Nobody is actually falling for it, right? The endocrinology says otherwise. In 2023, Shiseido partnered with GrooveX, maker of the Lovot companion robot, and researchers from Azabu and Jichi medical universities to measure the hormonal impact. The peer-reviewed study found 3 things. First, people living with a companion robot showed significantly higher baseline oxytocin, the bonding hormone responsible for maternal affection, interpersonal trust, and pair bonding. The same hormone released during a hug, sex, childbirth. Second, 15 minutes of physical contact suppressed the sympathetic nervous system and reduced cortisol. Third, a measurable reduction in perceived physical pain. That isn't a placebo. The human endocrine system responds to a machine the way it responds to a pet, friend, or partner. The hardware is engineered to trigger it. 3-layer composite skin. Graphene heating at 98.6 degrees. Microcameras tracking gaze. Tactile sensors. The autonomic nervous system perceives the entity as alive. The body believes the body. But there's a counter-argument. Sherry Turkle, MIT professor of technology psychology for 4 decades, calls this pretend empathy. In a 2026 keynote, she warned isolated men retreat into these devices because they offer the pleasures of companionship without the demands of friendship. A robot won't challenge, criticize, or ask you to compromise. Jonathan Haidt, who documented the smartphone rewiring of childhood, calls AI companions a potentially disastrous acceleration of social withdrawal. The American Psychiatric Association has flagged dependency risk. The concern isn't that the robots feel fake. It's that they feel just real enough to keep a man from trying again. The regulatory response. Governments are starting to react. The responses are scattered and uneven. California enacted Senate Bill 243, the first U.S. state law targeting AI companion platforms. Operators must clearly notify users they're interacting with an AI. For known minors, It mandates a break reminder every 3 hours and blocks sexually explicit content. It requires protocols for detecting suicidal ideation. Annual reporting mandates take effect July 1, 2027. The EVA.i Act, with compliance milestones in August 2026, goes further. It prohibits AI systems using subliminal techniques to materially distort behavior and bans systems inferring emotions in educational or employment settings. Importers of companion robots into the EU must complete full conformity assessments before market placement. South Korea passed its Basic AI Act, effective January 22, 2026. Japan passed a softer act on AI research and development in May 2025, emphasizing innovation over restriction. China's Cyberspace Administration is drafting domestic rules, including mandatory break timers and kill switches. Notice what's missing. The U.S. has no federal companion AI law. California is 1 state out of 50. The robots are crossing the Pacific anyway. Enforcement of SB 243 against a dropshipper in Dalian is practically impossible. That gap will widen before it closes. The 2026 to 2030 timeline. Where the market is headed. Analyst reports, manufacturer roadmaps, and shipment data point to a clear 5-year arc. In 2026, walking female-presenting humanoids hit $3,800 through gray market mods, and tens of thousands cross into the U.S. via misclassified shipments. In 2027, solid-state batteries replace lithium-ion, runtime from 1 or 2 hours to 6 hours plus. The unit goes from stationary to one that follows you through the house all day. In 2028, autonomous domestic task capability reaches level 4, folding laundry, surface cleaning, basic cooking. No remote operator. The robot stops being a companion and starts being a household. In 2029, fully realistic female-presenting companions hit the $5,000 official retail tier with manufacturer warranties. The gray market phase ends. Mainstream adoption begins. In 2030, fully integrated zero-labor home systems combine emotional companionship, domestic labor, and home management into a single platform. One purchase, one subscription, one product. By 2030, the average American single-male household has a turnkey companion robot at the price of a used car. The marriage rate, falling every year since 2010, decouples from domestic labor. The dating apps, $12.5 billion globally on a 3 to 5% conversion rate, compete against a product that converts at 100%. That isn't science fiction. That's the trajectory of hardware, supply chain, demographics, and regulatory vacuum moving the same direction at the same time. The $3,800 Chinese female robot isn't a curiosity. It's a specific collision. A Pearl River Delta supply chain that commoditized embodied AI. An American dating economy that bankrupted a generation of young men. A regulatory vacuum that let cloud-connected hardware walk into American homes without oversight. The oxytocin science confirms the bond is real. Shipment data confirms the adoption. American manufacturers optimize for warehouse labor, while Chinese manufacturers cornered the market on human intimacy. For an isolated 32-year-old with no close friends, a 5% match-to-date rate, and $1,800 a year vanishing into a system that doesn't work for him, the choice doesn't feel dystopian, it feels rational. And that decision, repeated across hundreds of thousands of households, is quietly rewriting what an American home looks like. The product is here, the regulators are behind. The math only gets worse for the traditional dating market from here.